Hi, my name is Alessandro Gangelosi, and that's a new tip tutorial coming from cgcookie.com for Max Cookie. This time we'll talk about the toon shading inside 3ds Max, and we'll talk about the toon shader and the contour shader for Mental Ray. So two way to create toon rendering inside Max, one with the scanline render and the second one with Mental Ray. So the first one is the toon shading based on the scanline render, and we'll start to work on this one. So I create a very simple plane, and let's create some mesh over it just to see how it works. And let's create some teapot like this one. Okay, so let's say that this one is very big, just to be sure. And let's create a light. Let's try with the target spot. Okay, we have our illumination. Let's use the assign render, the scan line, and let's make a render, and that's our render. Let's say to use the shadows to the light, and that's our basic render, a very simple render. Let's go there, and let's change the materials. So and we have to choose the ink and paint shader, and that's the basic shader. Let's give the same shader to hold the mesh. Let's open again the material editor. Okay, and let's make a copy of the render, and let's make again the rendering. And you see that actually we have a toon shading, a very basic shading, but we are using a toon shading. Let's go in the environment and let's use a color like a paper, and let's give the same color to the ground. So let's make a copy for this shader, and let's select the floor. Let's open this and let's copy this color to the paint. Okay, and let's give it floor toon. Okay, so we have this two shader. Let's render it, and you see that we have this color for this one, and no color for the sphere and the teapot. Let's go in the floor toon, and let's remove the ink. Okay, we have just a color, and let's remove. Okay, we have just one layer, but I like to have also the shadows, so let's slide it more. Okay, let's use the default value 70. Okay, and let's open the light cone with the overshoot. Okay, so we have lights all over the mesh. Okay, and we have just the shadows over the paper background. Let's go back to the to our shader. Let's set show save frame so we can zoom the scene. Sorry. Okay, that's our test. And let's see that we have some basic parameters like the two-sided, the face map, and the faceted. We can make also the faceted shadows, but it's not so realistic. And we have the possibility to set the opaque alpha and the fog background when not painting, but actually we don't need it for the look. We have the possibility to add a bump, so we can choose a map, and we can have the bump over the surface. You see it. We can make it more little, like 2. Let's render it, and you see that we have the bump over the surface, and that's very, very realistic. Then we have the possibility to change the light paint, changing this color. So we decide the color of the painting, like you see. So that's very, very simple. And then we can use also a texture for it. Let's try using a bitmap. Let's go there inside the programs, Autodesk, 3ds Max, maps, and let's try to use, for example, brick. Okay, let's render it, and you see the texture with the toon shader. So you can use also texture for it, and you can decide how to use the amount of texture that must be used, and you see that we are using less or more. If you say 0 is like use not the texture. Let's see it. Okay. Then we have how many paint layer we need, and we have 1 and 2. The second one we can make more. So you start to see. Let's remove for the moment the bump, and you see different layer starting from the light side to the dark side, and more. So you see a more progressive changes from the light to the shaded area. We have the possibility to simulate the highlight. You see the light area, and we can use also a texture for it, and we can change the glossiness of the material. You see, like in other rendering system. So for example, we can choose a color like the previous one and make it brighter, and we have this look for the rendering. Let's use again the white, that can be very useful for a manga look. And then we have a lot of parameters. We have the super sampling and anti-alias, and in general we have a very interesting way to simulate also the ink paint, like you see, and we have the possibility to add the ink or remove it. So we have just the colors. Let's use again the ink, and then we have the quality of the ink. Let's make a copy. Let's say quality 3, the maximum. It will be slower, but it will be more precise, and it will be more precise when you have more complex mesh. Now we have a very simple mesh, but it will be more precise. Let's go there, and we have the variable width. So we have the possibility to have some area with an higher width for the ink paint. Let's try with 8, and you can see better on the sphere. So you see this area very big and a thinner area. Let's use less layer for the paint. Okay, and we have the possibility to use a texture and to achieve and to decide how many the amount of the texture that must be used. Then we have the different layer of the ink. So we have the outline, that are the outline of the objects, and we can change also the colors. And now we are green, so you see that the exterior is green, and we can go back to black. Let's remove all the others. We have just the contour of the mesh, and we can change the bias where there's the intersection between the area of the edge. So you can decide how will be different the look. If you have 0, you have all the edges traced. Then we have the overlap. So we have just the face, where the face, the edge are overlapped, we are using the ink, and you can use, like always, the texture, and you can decide the overlap bias. So we can change it, and you see that we are not more using the overlapping area, and there we have the usage for all the overlapping area. And it can be interesting because with this one we can use, for example, 0.5 and 4 for the ink variation with, and we can achieve a very interesting look, because you see that there it seems that it was traced by hand, and it's a very, very interesting look. Then we have the underlap. Let's remove all the other effects, and where the face are underlapping. So you see where there are the intersection, and we can use again all the effects together, and it will become better and better. And then we have the possibility to use also the SM group or the material D. So if we have different area with different shading group or different material ID, we can change and trace it using other inks, and it can be interesting to achieve strange look for the final toon rendering. So as you see, it's very simple to create toon shading inside the scanline rendering with 3ds Max, and the ink and paint shader is very basic, but it's powerful because we have a lot of parameters to change the look, and there's a third-party renderer like the Final Toon plugin to achieve better result, but you can obtain a very interesting look using also the basic feature inside 3ds Max. And in the next part of this tutorial, we'll take a look at the contour shader that is a set of shader created for Mentor Ray to achieve the toon rendering and the line rendering. So for the moment, that's all, and it was a very simple tip tutorial. I hope to see you again on Max Cookie to check for new tip tutorial from cgcookie.com. Thanks.